All right, Shalom. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha Kwadash. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. All right, I want to do a little response video to these people right here. They put up a video, 2026 food shortage warning. Are you ready? Here's your action plan. All right. Now let's see. Load this thing up.
Food price.
All right, and before I get started, I want to say this is fair use, fair use. All right, not making any money off of this. This is only for Bible edification. All right.
Prices are rising again, and this time it's not just inflation, it's supply. Food prices are rising again, and this time it's not just inflation, it's supply shortages. All the indicators are that in 2026 and 2027, we're going to have food shortages. So now's the time to act. Hey.
Yeah, one thing, of course, you hear brothers say, it's wise to, to grab a little extra for next time you go to the store, or whatever, get you a little extra, whatever the case, a little extra water, a little extra food or whatever. But we trust in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. We know he's going to bring this famine. All right. And we're trusting in his mercy. All right. We're storing up our treasures in heaven by doing this work, by getting our spirits right, by being brotherly, by being charitable, just doing our best to walk in a way that's pleasing to the Most High, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And we're going to trust and believe that he delivers us. All right. This is Proverbs 21 and 31. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. All right. Safety is of the Lord. It's not of us. All right. See this. The eye of the Lord is upon them. Let's see. Psalms 33 and 18. It says, behold, the eye of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy, to deliver their soul from death, and to keep them alive in famine. Boom. So we're relying on the Lord. All right. Now, of course, you're going to hear brothers, elders say that, it's nothing wrong with getting something. Of course, that's, nothing wrong with that, but we rely on the Lord. All right. So just wanted to touch on that real quick. All right. So let's let this play.
Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene. And right now we are hearing about all kinds of food shortages. And what's happening is when there's global pressures on our food supply, we feel it at the grocery store. And we are not about panic. This is not a time to panic. We've been prepping forever.
Yeah.
And this is just a little blip in the road, right? This is something that we just need to deal with. But in today's video, we're going to talk about what the problem is and what we can do to make sure that we minimize the impact of it on our family directly. So again, we are not going to freak out about this, but we do need to recognize that the UN World Food Program has said that over the next couple of years, that millions of people will have food insecurity. So we need to address this. I think that's important.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the biggest drivers. Number one is geopolitical tensions. And that surprised me because there's no conflict going on in the world, is there? Really?
Whatever.
Actually, we all
Where
know
is
there is.
not conflict?
Yeah, we know there is. And the most recent, of course, is the Strait of Hormuz. And that's causing a variety of impacts to us. So these tensions are there, and they'll always be there to some extent. But number two is our fertilizer cost and supply. So this is really impacting, especially the farmers. The cost of fertilizer is up. That means they generally can apply less fertilizer and still be okay financially. So we're going to have decreased harvests, and the prices are going to go up. One of the big ones that I am tied into directly is climate extremes. And this is the U.S. Drought Monitor that's showing right now what the drought situation is. And right now, 60% of the contiguous 48 states is in some degree of drought. And a lot of it's in severe drought, extreme drought, exceptional drought.
Yeah, a lot of drought going on. That's another topic to touch on. If a brother wants to take that, as a subject, right? It's a lot of droughts going on, and you had those Nebraska wildfires. Now you got wildfires in Atlanta, Georgia, and Florida. All right, so it's all, and we know that we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, all right, to quote the scripture, I'll bring it up real quick. 1 Corinthians 2 and 11, right? No, let's see. May have to just type it in. 2 Corinthians 2. 2 Corinthians 2 and 11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. That Satan is so-called white man Esau, the physical counterpart to the spiritual demon Satan. We know he has these direct energy weapons, and he causes these wildfires to happen. All right, he creates these droughts. You know, he's creating the situation in the Strait of Hormuz, right? You know, and this is all ultimately for his new world order to flourish. All right, but we know that also the Most High is going to bring these famines. All right, particularly that great famine here in America, Babylon the Great. All right, Second Esdras 15 and 5. Behold, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. All right, so that's what's coming. All right, so let's get back to the video, then we can get back to Second Esdras. All right.
And so there is a lot of drought, probably the most in many years that we've seen in our country. So that is a huge factor. And I was at a board meeting the other night and listening to some of the farmers talk. One was a supplier of hay and one was a user of hay. And the user was asking the guy that trucks hay all over the United States, said, you know, what's the hay situation and should we be concerned? And my other friend said, yeah, we should be very concerned because there's a lot of areas around us where they're only going to get one cutting of hay where they normally get 3 or maybe even 4 cuttings of hay. So the hay is going to be very short this year, and getting that is got a lot of people just a little bit concerned. So, and then of course there's always economic and trade pressures, tariffs, all kinds of things like that. So there's a lot of drivers out there that are creating this insecurity in our food supply. So understanding that just helps us kind of put it in perspective.
So what does that mean to us? The area of concern. I don't think that that means that we're going to show up at the grocery store and there will be nothing. No. I think
that is what's going to happen. All right, and you hear these Edomites with their pride. All right, assuming that these people even are Edomites, because they might possibly be Jake or go back to another nation, right? Okay, but for all intents and purposes, we're going to assume that these are some devils. All right. I'm not getting a Jake vibe from them. I'll tell you that much. You know, houses forever. Let's see. Let's see. All right, this is Psalms 49 and 11. It's talking about the Edomites, the wicked. All right. It says, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Excuse me. So these devils, man, they think their houses are going to last forever. You know, they'll continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. These Edomites, they can't wrap their head around the fact that America's going down. All right, they could see it, but they can't accept it. They can't rationalize it. They just think, nah, this place will never go down. This place will never fail. But the scriptures tell you that the eyes of the Lord are upon the sinful kingdom, and he's going to utterly destroy it from off the face of the earth. All right, and originally that was talking about Israel, but now it's talking about America, you know? So, and they call their lands after their own names, right? America, named after Amerigo Vespucci, right? An Edomite devil. Africa, right? Leo Scipius Africanus, another Edomite devil, excuse me. Slovakia, right? So this is talking about the so-called white man Esau, Edom, all right? So they think that their houses are going to continue forever, but the Most High is going to, you know, destroy their kingdom, all right? One of those plagues is going to be famine, right? But yeah, that is going to happen here in America. There is going to be, oh, this is a scripture I wanted to get. Wow, the Wadi Al-Bashim Al-Shai, I really thought I had lost that. All right, this is a 2 Ezra 6 and 22. It says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. That's exactly what's going to happen. Suddenly the full storehouses, your Walmarts, your BJ's, your Costco's, Stop and Shop, ShopRite, Acme. It's that one they got in Pennsylvania. It's a real big one. Kroger, that's the one. Kroger's. I know they got that everywhere. Aldi's, right? It's all gonna be finito. like Issachar and them be saying, it's gonna be finito. Northern Kingdom. So-called Latinos. They say finito. It means finished. So all this abundantly available food, man, this is going to be, Most High is going to do away with that. All right, he's going to bring that famine. All right, let's actually jump back to 2 Ezra 15. Read a little bit more, right about that famine. 2 Ezra 15:5 again. Behold, saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, I will bring plagues upon the world. The sword, which modern day sword is the gun, famine, death, and destruction. That's coming. All right. Let's kind of jump down. 2 Ezra 15 and 14. And this is a prophecy about America. When you read the whole thing, it goes into Egypt, which that spiritual Egypt, spiritual Sodom and Egypt, right? Revelation 11:8 is talking about America. Okay, so this is a prophecy about America, and that all hell breaking loose, that's going to happen worldwide too, but we know that it's, a central place of judgment, is going to be here in America. Okay, 2 Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, right? Guns. People are going to take up guns and be killing each other to ransack, whatever little food or ammunition, bottled water, women that you got, at the crib. They're gonna be coming to take it. All right, with guns. Okay, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, right? Invading one another's houses to steal shit. All right, to steal stuff, let me say, excuse me. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, meaning your government, right? Your governors, your mayors, all, the authorities, right? And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. It's going to be complete anarchy. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Okay, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, with the gun, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Boom, that's what's coming. All right, it's going to be all hell breaking loose out here. Okay, no food, no electricity. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is going to shalak rayam to this place. All right, that means send evils. The Most High is going to send evils to America. All right, so let's listen a little bit more to what they're talking about.
It means increased prices, intermittent shortages, maybe some lower quality, or maybe you're not going to be able to find things that you normally would be able to find, but there still should be food there. So I think
that's what you think. There still should be food, but it's not going to be any food because the Most High is judging the world. All right, he's going to bring straight up calamity and evil upon everybody. All right, except for his elect.
A little bit comforting. Of course, always we want to talk about, well, what can we do? We need to be calm because we're prepared. Now, one of the things about being a prepper is that we don't put additional pressure on the system. So what we know right now is the system is being taxed. Now's not the time to buy your 1,000 pounds of wheat. Is that a good way to put it?
Sure, yeah.
But look at your storage and see if there's something that you may need to top off on. We want to build a working pantry. This means that you might have to...
Yeah, okay, so now they're giving you advice on how to, get ready, basically. But I kind of just wanted to, to do a quick little reply. Just kind of see where the Spirit would take me, right? About this famine, right? Because the Most High, he's going to bring these famines, all right? He's going to bring straight up judgment and calamity, all right? And we're not worried about trying to build a working pantry and, trying to stack up on guns. Nah, all right? because we have the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Okay. Excuse me. Jeremiah 15:1, the caption says, judgment must come. All right. And the 2/3 of our people, as well as, these heathens, they're going to get judged during this time. All right. It's going to be a lot of, a lot of judgment going forth, to say the least. Okay. It says, then said the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward this people. Cast them out of my sight, and let them go forth. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, such as are for death to death, and such as are for the sword to the sword, and such as are for the famine to the famine, and such as are for the captivity to the captivity. So even among the Lord's people, the Most High has allotted certain, Israelites to receive judgment. And some of them are going to receive that judgment of famine in this time. Okay. So, this is what's coming, man. All right. We have a more sure word of prophecy. All right. Let's go to 2 Ezra 16, and then we can close it out. All right. And I just kind of wanted to, to touch on this because it's a lot of, a lot of news about, the Strait of Hormuz being closed and, fertilizer not coming through and, diesel prices going up, which means the price of everything else goes up because everything in the supply chain relies on diesel for transportation. The price of just plain old gasoline for your car going up. So this is the Most High setting the stage for all hell to break loose. All right. Let's see. 2 Ezra 16 and 14. Behold, the plagues are sent, and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled, and shall not be put out, till it consume the foundation of the earth. Like as an arrow, which is shot of a mighty archer, returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? So Ezra saw these last days here in America, all hell breaking loose. All right, and the answer is Esdras, the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is going to put his angels around you to deliver you, So it shows you that Esdras is back, and he knew, when he received this vision that he would have to come back in these latter days and prophesy. Which shows you that he and all the other prophets, understood reincarnation. It was common knowledge, Verse 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Call upon the name of the Lord, right? That's what we're going to do. This is our only hope, all right? Proverbs 18 and 10. The name of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. Boom. That's our game plan right there. All right. 2 Ezra 16 and 19. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Sent from who? The Most High, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Amendment for what? For all your wickedness, Verse 20, and that word amendment meaning what? Correction, chastisement, punishment, Verse 20, but for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor always be mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. You could see that right now, right? I mean, it's like, yeah, things are a little more pricey, but it's not like $20 for a carton of eggs. I mean, it hasn't gotten that bad. So people think that we're still in like kind of a good case, right? You can still go to, your crappy little McDonald's and Burger Kings and whatever the case, Wendy's, and get your little cheap little mystery meat, So people think that they're in a good case right now, but that's not the case. No pun intended. That's not the case at all, And even then shall evils grow upon earth. Sword, right? Gun violence, famine, and great confusion. That's what's coming, man. All right. Nothing but all hell breaking loose. All right. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Okay. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. All right. So that's what's coming, man. All right. That great famine is coming. So you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, by the seed of your father, all right, you need to repent, all right, and get right with Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, all right. Worship the true and living God in sincerity and truth, and amend your ways. Do a 180 on your wickedness. Come out of America. Don't act like an American. All right, learn what the Lord demands of you, Serve him with sincerity and truth, In Lord's will, you'll be delivered, all right? So with that, all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopefully elect. Shalom.